There's a fine line between ambition and a complete lack of dignity. Today, we're not just looking at that line. We're exploring the stories of 49 individuals who took a running leap over it, all for a taste of fame. From faking their own royalty to selling pre-chewed gum, this is a monument to humanity's most desperate and hilarious attempts to be noticed. 1. Some people see a 20-year-old bag of chips and think garbage. Others, true visionaries of capitalism, see a rare collector's item. One such financial guru decided his ticket to the big time was auctioning off sealed vintage snacks. His crown jewel was a 1999 bag of Doritos, perfectly preserved in its original nitrogen-filled glory. In a testament to the fact that some people have more money than sense, a buyer dropped $500 on it. The moment of truth arrived. He opened his prized artifact, expecting a nostalgic blast of nacho cheese, and instead was met with a puff of stale air and a sad pile of flavorless dust. He didn't just buy old chips. He bought a very expensive lesson in the unstoppable march of time. 2. While most of us are content to just sit on a couch, one man saw a higher calling: professional couch critic. He began a noble quest, visiting furniture stores not to buy but to judge. Armed with a notepad and an air of unshakable seriousness, he would rate sofas on crucial metrics like nap potential, snack holding stability of the armrest, and overall emotional support. His deadpan, overly detailed reviews gained a cult following online. The peak of his bizarre career came when a store, instead of calling security, actually embraced his madness and featured his glowing review in one of their ads. He proved that if you act like an expert in something utterly pointless, someone, somewhere, will eventually pay you for it. 3. The quest for a world record can lead to greatness, or it can lead to sticking thousands of toothpicks in your facial hair. One man chose the latter, attempting to create a brittle monument to boredom by embedding over 3,000 toothpicks into his beard. Imagine the patience, the focus, the sheer pointlessness of it all. He was nearing his goal, looking like a human sea urchin, when gravity decided it had seen enough. The sheer weight caused a catastrophic structural failure, and his glorious beard collapsed in on itself. He failed to get the record, but the video of his face forest imploding earned him millions of views, proving that a spectacular failure is far more entertaining than a quiet success. 4. Launching a one-sided feud with a celebrity is a bold strategy for getting noticed. A TikToker decided to go to war with a famous singer, accusing her of stealing their look. The evidence presented in dozens of increasingly unhinged videos was, well, they both owned a pair of jeans. For weeks, this person raged into the social media void, a one-person army fighting a phantom enemy. Finally, the celebrity was made aware of the feud and delivered the most brutal knockout punch possible in the form of a single, confused tweet. Who even is this person? All that effort just to be publicly vaporized with 5 simple words. 5. In every live studio audience, there is an unsung hero, the person who claps at just the right time. One man decided to become that hero professionally. He dedicated his life to the art of applause, attending hundreds of live events to perfect his craft. He wasn't a fan, he was a maestro of the ovation. His magnum opus occurred during the taping of a TV show. After a joke landed, he delivered a single, perfectly timed, acoustically pristine clap that cut through the silence. It was so flawless that the producers paused the entire production, found him in the crowd, and asked him to perform his clap again for the final edit. He literally achieved fame for being an expert at hitting his own hands together. 6. When your creativity runs dry but your thirst for fame is unquenchable, there's always the option of a public food fight. A group of content warriors armed themselves with pounds of spaghetti and descended on Times Square. Their battle cry? Who needs plates when you have fame? As they hurled pasta at each other. The stunt worked, getting them all over the news. But the real magic happened when a random tourist witnessing the passionate display genuinely thought he'd stumbled upon a political protest. Convinced he was fighting for some noble, carbohydrate-based cause, he grabbed a handful of marinara and bravely joined the fray. 7. One man looked at the world and thought, "I can get famous, I just need a gimmick." His world-changing idea was to walk backwards, everywhere, for a whole month. He documented his reverse journey, certain it was his ticket to stardom. And he was right, just not for the reasons he hoped. He became a local celebrity, famous for being a one-man demolition derby in slow motion. He was constantly backing into people, toppling cafe tables, and in his crowning achievement, live-streaming himself as he confidently strode backward directly into a public fountain. He learned that fame is easy to achieve, as long as you don't mind being known as a public hazard. 8. To get your name in the papers, you can achieve something great, or you can try to legally change your name to something a judge can't read without laughing. A man in pursuit of headlines filed a petition to officially become Captain America Batman Spaghetti. You have to respect the sheer chaotic energy. The judge, a person who had surely seen the depths of human absurdity, flatly denied the request. But the story got out, and the man got his taste of fame. Not one to be defeated, he returned to court with a compromise and successfully became Lord Spaghetti, a title he now proudly displays on his driver's license for all to see. 9. In America, you don't need a royal bloodline, you just need a convincing story and a questionable accent. One woman decided to anoint herself as the long-lost descendant of some vague European monarchy. She fully committed to the bit, parading around in elaborate historical outfits and speaking in an accent that was a chaotic mix of British, French, and something she probably picked up from a fantasy movie. Her little charade was surprisingly effective until she ran into an actual historian. When asked to name her famous royal ancestor, she froze, her mind blanking, before nervously blurting out, King Edward V. Teen. And just like that, her entire self-proclaimed dynasty crumbled under the weight of basic math. 10. Some people invest their life savings in the stock market. Others invested in trying to surgically transform themselves into a dead celebrity. One woman spent over $100,000 on procedures to resemble Marilyn Monroe. The result? Well, she didn't quite capture the vibrant, living essence of the movie star. Instead, she achieved the uncanny, slightly terrifying, and lifeless perfection of Marilyn's wax statue counterpart from Madame Tussauds. Ironically, this unique failure got her invited to Hollywood events, where she mingled with the stars as a curiosity, right up until an actual professional Monroe impersonator publicly called her out, ending her brief reign as the world's most expensive mannequin. 11. Here's a foolproof business model for the internet age. Go to a thrift store, find the creepiest looking dolls you can, and sell them on eBay. The secret ingredient? Claim each one is violently haunted. One seller made thousands by marketing dolls with fabricated dark pasts, promising they might whisper ancient secrets at night or move when you're not looking. People ate it up. Later, buyers sheepishly admitted that nothing supernatural ever happened. The best review came from a guy who swore his doll slowly turned its head to face him, only to realize his cat had just been batting it around. The only dark spirit in that house was a bored feline. 12. If you can't become a famous person, you can always try becoming a famous advertisement. A man from Las Vegas decided his face was prime real estate, and he began tattooing corporate logos all over it. We're talking brand names on his forehead, cheeks, and neck. He declared himself the future of advertising, a walking, talking billboard for everything from energy drinks to online casinos. While he did manage to land a few sponsorship deals, his fame came with a price. He was reportedly banned from several high-end restaurants, not for his behavior, but because his presence violated their policies against excessive and distracting commercial signage. 13. Some dogs learn to sit or fetch. Others are forced to become extreme sports athletes for their owner's online clout. One man trained his tiny chihuahua to perform a series of increasingly absurd stunts, including riding a skateboard, jumping through literal hoops of fire, and even driving a miniature toy car. The little dog became a massive viral sensation, a 4-pound daredevil. But when an interviewer asked the owner what inspired him to unlock his pet's hidden talents, he didn't talk about animal bonding or athletic prowess. He just shrugged and admitted, "Honestly, I just wanted to get some free brand deals for dog food." 14. Becoming a water sommelier. While some people dedicate their lives to wine, one man decided his path to fame was reviewing bottled water with the absurd seriousness of a world-class connoisseur. He started a channel where he'd swirl a glass of Dasani, hold it to the light, and describe its bold notes of municipal processing with a distinctly plastic finish. He praised Evian for its crisp, alpine minerality, and once even claimed he could taste the existential despair in a store-brand bottle. His deadpan delivery went viral, and he eventually landed a massive sponsorship deal from a company that sells tap water filters. 15. Performance art can be a powerful statement, or it can be a guy standing perfectly still in a mall for a day. A man who called himself Mannequin Guy decided his path to fame was to freeze in one spot for 24 hours straight. He picked a busy spot in a shopping mall, struck a pose, and waited for the world to notice his artistic endurance. The most shocking part? For the first 6 hours, absolutely nobody did. People just walked past him, assuming he was part of a store display. He was eventually asked to leave by security, not because he was causing a disturbance, but because a manager thought he was an unauthorized piece of store decor. 16. In the endless quest for viral content, some people will do anything, including trying to live inside a vending machine for a week. A streamer announced he was undertaking this challenge to experience life from the perspective of a snack item. He wedged himself into the cramped glass box and began live streaming his miserable existence. The grand experiment in snack-based philosophy lasted just 3 days before he had to be rescued, suffering from dehydration and a severe lack of dignity. His profound last words before the emergency crew freed him? "I regret everything." A true martyr for the content game. 17. One YouTuber decided to channel his inner evil genius into a product, the world's most infuriating alarm clock. To turn it off, you didn't just hit a snooze button. You had to solve a complex math equation, get up and run a full lap around your house, and then scream into a built-in microphone at a specific decibel level. It was less of an alarm and more of a morning hostage situation. Shockingly, thousands of people bought it. The follow-up reviews were glorious, with most admitting that while the clock definitely worked, they had smashed it to pieces with a hammer after just a few mornings of its unique brand of motivational torture. 18. Why pay rent when you can just secretly live in a shopping mall? At least, that was the logic of one YouTuber who attempted this very stunt. He documented his mission to live inside a giant mall for a month without getting caught. Sleeping in forgotten storage closets and surviving on food court leftovers, he snuck after closing. He was surprisingly successful for nearly 3 weeks, becoming a modern-day phantom of the food court. His downfall came when a janitor, investigating a strange smell, discovered his makeshift apartment, complete with a sleeping bag and a pile of stolen napkins, tucked away behind a large vending machine. 19. How do you make sure people see your unicycle skills? Simple. You ride it directly into rush hour traffic while wearing an inflatable Tyrannosaurus Rex costume. This exact scene played out on a busy street, becoming an instant viral hit. The internet absolutely loved the sheer, unadulterated chaos of it all. The local police, however, were slightly less amused. When they finally managed to pull the dinosaur over, the rider actually tried to argue his way out of a ticket by boldly stating, "Dinosaurs do not have to follow human traffic laws." You can't really argue with that logic. 20. The desire to make your pet a star is a time-honored tradition, but one man took it to a new, artistic level. He didn't just teach his hamster to run on a wheel, he trained it to be an abstract expressionist painter. Armed with non-toxic paints and tiny canvases, the little rodent would scurry across the surface, creating what his owner marketed as rodent masterpieces. And in a glorious testament to the absurdity of the art world, people actually bought them. His best-selling piece, a chaotic swirl of brown and yellow, was proudly titled Squeak da Vinci. It's unclear if the hamster had true artistic vision or if he was just trying to wipe the paint off his feet. 21. Some people talk to animals. One man decided to broadcast his attempts to the world. A self-proclaimed nature enthusiast spent months in a local park trying to establish diplomatic relations with the squirrel population. He'd whisper sweet nothings to them, offer them tiny, custom-made hats, and document every rejection. His channel finally went viral, but not because of a breakthrough in interspecies communication. It happened when one particularly bold squirrel snatched his microphone, scurried up a tree, and began broadcasting a chaotic cacophony of chittering and nut-chewing noises to thousands of utterly confused live viewers. 22. Most historians study the past. One decided to live in it, very, very publicly. For an entire year, he committed to speaking only in a theatrical, vaguely medieval form of English. He renounced all modern slang, opting for thee and thou in every conversation. The project gained him a decent online following, but it peaked during a trip to a coffee shop. When the barista asked for his order, he didn't just ask for a black coffee. He drew himself up to his full height and dramatically proclaimed, "Bring forth thy finest bean water, fair maiden, and make haste." He got his coffee, along with a whole lot of bewildered stares. 23. Just when you thought the world of NFTs couldn't get any dumber, someone proved us all wrong. An aspiring digital artist decided to turn mundane screenshots of their weekly gas station receipts into non-fungible tokens. They weren't art, they weren't clever, they were just pixelated proof of buying overpriced fuel, and yet they made thousands of dollars. The entire project was a masterclass in proving that people will buy literally anything if you call it an investment. The absolute weirdest part? One buyer was so proud of their purchase that they printed it out, framed it, and hung it on their wall like a priceless masterpiece. 24. If you can't get invited to the red carpet, you can always just crash it. One man made this his entire personality, becoming a human pop-up ad at celebrity events. His mission was to sneak past security and photobomb serious red carpet interviews by yelling complete nonsense into the microphone. He had many great moments, but his most iconic was during a somber discussion about climate change. As an A-list actor was detailing the plight of the planet, our hero sprinted into the frame, grabbed the mic and screamed, "Pizza rolls are severely underrated," before being dragged away by security. 25. Why bother becoming a celebrity when you can just pretend to be one? One individual crafted the perfect fame hacking scheme. They put on a generic pop star costume, which consisted of nothing more than dark sunglasses and an obnoxious amount of glitter, and simply started walking around Hollywood. Unsuspecting tourists, assuming they must be someone famous, lined up to take photos with them. The plan was flawless. The best part? Their performance as a vaguely famous person was so convincing that they ended up getting mistaken for an actual C-list celebrity and were invited to a real red carpet event. 26. In a world obsessed with being the fastest and the best, one woman found fame by doing the exact opposite. She decided to become the world's slowest person at performing mundane tasks. Her viral masterpiece was a video of her taking 12 full hours to fold a single t-shirt. The video, which she described as an exercise in extreme patience and mindful fabric manipulation, was excruciatingly slow, yet millions of people found it bizarrely hypnotic. She proved that you don't have to be good at something to get famous. You just have to be weird enough at it for long enough. 27. We've all seen that iconic scene from Titanic. A young couple decided to recreate it for their social media, posing at the front of a small, wobbly rental boat. They struck the pose, arms outstretched, ready for their romantic, viral moment. Unfortunately, their combined weight and lack of balance had other plans. The boat instantly tipped over, sending them flailing into the murky lake water. Their intended tribute to cinematic romance failed spectacularly, but the video of them panicking and splashing around went far more viral than their original idea ever would have. 28. One social media star decided he didn't want followers. He wanted a secret society. To achieve this, he created an absurdly complex 10-step secret handshake and declared it the official greeting for his fan base. The trend actually took off, with fans performing the elaborate ritual in public. The creator's ego swelled, right up until he tried to initiate the handshake with a random celebrity he spotted on the street. He launched into the sequence of daps, twists, and salutes, only for the celebrity to give him a look of profound confusion, shake their head, and just keep walking. 29. If you want to start a movement, you need a compelling enemy. For one aspiring conspiracy guru, that enemy was pigeons. He launched a campaign to convince thousands of people that these feathered menaces were not birds at all, but sophisticated government surveillance drones used to spy on citizens. He fully committed to the role, holding public protests while wearing the obligatory tinfoil hat and selling merchandise with slogans like, "Birds aren't real." The wildest part? It worked. He got his fame, and to this day there are people who genuinely believe his completely fabricated theory. 30. When you don't have enough real fans to create a scene, you can always just hire some. An influencer, desperate to look more important than they were, paid a group of actors to pose as their adoring fan base at an airport. The plan was simple. The actors would scream their name and beg for autographs as they walked through the terminal, creating a fake paparazzi moment. The stunt was a success, and the footage went viral, briefly. The illusion shattered when several people online recognized the screaming fans as struggling comedians from a local improv troupe who were just there for the paycheck. 31. The art world has always been a bit pretentious, but one artist took it to a whole new level by selling nothing at all. He claimed to create invisible sculptures, which he insisted existed in a higher spiritual dimension. According to him, the art could only be perceived by those with an elevated consciousness and a very open wallet. In a move that should shatter your faith in humanity, one person actually paid $10,000 for one of these sculptures. They literally bought empty space, proving that if your confidence is high enough, you can sell absolutely anything. 32. Some YouTubers build a following with their expertise and charm. One decided to build his by being as annoying as humanly possible. His viral series involved reviewing popular products while intentionally mispronouncing every single significant word. He'd call an avocado an avocados and refer to Wi-Fi as Wi-Fi. It was infuriating, grating, and utterly nonsensical. And people couldn't stop watching. They would tune in every week just to get angry and leave furious comments, making it one of the most successful and profitable displays of weaponized stupidity on the platform. 33. A TikToker decided his gimmick would be to pretend he was a time traveler from the year 2047. He posted a series of grainy, dramatic videos from his dimly lit room, issuing vague warnings about the future. He made grand pronouncements like, "Coffee will be banned in 2035," and "The moon will turn a different color in 2029. His followers grew as people debated his authenticity. That is, until his act spectacularly fell apart. During one of his transmissions from the future, a notification for a 2023 software update clearly popped up on the screen of his future device. 34. You can't bottle fame, but one woman tried to bottle the air where famous things happen. Her brilliant business idea was to sell jars of authentic air captured from various locations in New York City. For a handsome price, you could own a jar of Times Square atmosphere or Central Park breeze. The scheme was an instant success, and she made thousands of dollars from tourists and collectors. Her fame as the air merchant was short-lived, however, after an investigation revealed she was just filling the jars from the open window of her tiny Brooklyn apartment. Marketing, it turns out, is everything. 35. Some people are born with a great sense of direction. And then there are people who memorize a few city maps and declare themselves a human GPS, a being superior to the multi-billion-dollar satellite network orbiting our planet. One such individual gained a following by claiming he could feel magnetic north and navigate dense urban jungles by instinct alone. His fame as a human compass grew until he agreed to a challenge that would be his downfall: navigating a multi-level mall parking garage. For 45 agonizing minutes, his followers watched him wander in circles, utterly defeated by the concrete labyrinth, before he finally broke down and had to ask a security guard for directions to the exit. 36. In Hollywood, even the ground is valuable. One street vendor came up with a business plan so audacious it was almost brilliant. They started bottling puddle water from outside red carpet events. They didn't sell it as dirty water, of course. It was marketed as a luxury item containing the trace essence of celebrity footprints. And people bought it. One fan even posted a review claiming they felt closer to fame after taking a sip. That review was quickly deleted after they came down with a gastrointestinal issue so severe, their doctor's note probably became an embarrassing collector's item in its own right. It turns out, drinking gutter water makes you feel closer to a toilet, not stardom. 37. In an era of non-stop action and noise, one live streamer discovered the key to viral fame was to do absolutely nothing. For 12 consecutive hours, he sat in a chair and stared silently into his camera, without moving, speaking, or even reacting. It was the ultimate test of boredom, both for him and his audience. And strangely, it was a massive hit. Thousands of viewers were mesmerized. Some projected deep, philosophical meaning onto his blank expression, claiming they could feel his emotional journey. The rest of the chat just spammed the word blink over and over, turning his artistic statement into the world's longest, most intense staring contest. 38. What happens when you start a protest about nothing at all? A group of influencers decided to find out. They stood outside City Hall with professionally printed signs that just said things like, "We disagree," and "Stop it now," with no context whatsoever. At first, people were just confused, but within an hour, something incredible happened. Random strangers, fueled by a general sense of dissatisfaction with everything, started joining their ranks. They grabbed the extra signs and began chanting passionately, yelling for change, despite having absolutely no idea what it was that they wanted to stop. It was a beautiful and terrifying display of mob mentality. 39. The line between a fan and a fanatic is often blurry, and one influencer decided to monetize that blurriness in the most disgusting way possible. She began selling her own used pre-chewed chewing gum online. It wasn't just old gum, it was marketed as a personal artifact and a piece of her history, as if it were a moon rock or a shard of the Berlin Wall. The most disturbing part of this story isn't that she sold it, but that people paid hundreds of dollars for it. One dedicated buyer even had the saliva-covered wad professionally framed and mounted on their wall. 40. There's a fine line between a foodie and someone with a serious medical condition. One content creator built his entire career by gleefully crossing that line. His channel was dedicated to eating things that should never, under any circumstances, be consumed. We're talking light bulbs, rolls of toilet paper, and handfuls of dirt. And for some reason, people loved it. His most viewed video featured him calmly eating a large chunk of a foam couch cushion, piece by piece, while delivering a surprisingly insightful monologue about international politics. You have to wonder what his dental insurance premiums look like. 41. Some pranks are clever and witty. Others involve dressing up as a piece of public infrastructure and confusing commuters. A man in a bright orange traffic cone costume found his fame by simply standing motionless in the middle of busy intersections. He would hold his pose for hours, forcing a stream of bewildered and annoyed drivers to awkwardly maneuver around him. His performance art usually ended when he got bored, but on one occasion, a driver got so frustrated that he got out of his car, walked over, and tried to pick up and move the human cone to the side of the road. 42. It's not easy to stand out on the internet, so one TikToker decided to claim he was a product of a secret government program. He went viral with a series of videos detailing his life as a test subject with enhanced abilities, like being able to hear dog whistles from a mile away and never needing to sleep. The story was just plausible enough to be intriguing, and he gained thousands of followers. His elaborate fiction came crashing down, however, when he accidentally posted a video to his public story at 3 a.m., complaining about how exhausted he was and how he couldn't wait to go to bed. 43. If you can't win an award, just create your own. That was the philosophy of one TikToker who orchestrated an entire fake award ceremony from his living room. He spared no expense on the production, featuring a makeshift red carpet, plastic trophies from a party store, and a long, rambling acceptance speech. The ceremony had many categories, but the grand prize for Best Person Ever had only one nominee: himself. Shockingly, the live stream of his self-congratulatory event got thousands of views, with many people commenting that they were genuinely excited to tune in next year to see if he could pull off a repeat win. 44. A college student jokingly started an online group for people who really love drinking milk. He wrote a fake manifesto about the spiritual and moral importance of dairy and called his followers the Brotherhood of Calcium. What began as a joke quickly spiraled into a massive online community. It grew so large that actual dairy companies, completely missing the sarcasm, started reaching out to him with serious sponsorship offers. The whole thing collapsed when one over-enthusiastic member tried to get their workplace to officially recognize Milk Day as a legitimate religious holiday. 45. Legends of people mailing themselves in crates have existed for centuries. A YouTuber decided to bring that legend into the modern age by filming his attempt to mail himself across state lines in a giant cardboard box. Of course, the entire thing was faked for entertainment, but his commitment to the bit was incredible. The best part was his staged delivery delay, where he had a friend leave the box on a public sidewalk for an hour. Whenever people walked by, he would violently shake the box from the inside and let out muffled screams, creating a moment of pure, unadulterated public confusion. 46. In a desperate bid for relevance, a wannabe influencer decided to stage their own mysterious disappearance. They left a few cryptic posts online, turned off their phone, and vanished. Their small fan base was thrown into a panic, and the story even made a few local news blogs. Weeks later, they dramatically reappeared online, posting a slickly edited vlog titled "How I Survived in the Wilderness." The story was gripping, right up until a former friend revealed the truth. The wilderness was their parents' fully furnished basement, and their survival was sustained by stolen pizza rolls from the upstairs freezer. 47. Public marriage proposals are always a gamble. You're either creating a beautiful memory or a viral cringe compilation. Some people, in their quest for fame, intentionally lean into the latter. We've seen proposals at funerals during someone else's wedding and in the middle of live newscasts. But perhaps the most spectacular failure was the man who decided to pop the question while skydiving. In the middle of his grand, adrenaline-fueled speech, he opened the ring box, and the tiny, expensive ring was instantly ripped from his grasp by the wind, plummeting to the earth thousands of feet below. She still said yes, but they never found the ring. 48. Getting an absurd emotional support animal certified. The emotional support animal system is meant to help people, but one man saw it as a shortcut to fame. He successfully managed to get his vintage 2-slice toaster officially certified as his emotional support companion. He claimed its gentle humming sound soothed his anxiety and even bought it a tiny custom-made vest. The story blew up online after he got into a heated argument with airline staff, insisting his toaster needed its own seat. He was eventually kicked off the flight, not for bringing a toaster, but for trying to plug it in to make a calming piece of toast during turbulence. 49. A group of teenagers decided to manufacture their own paranormal encounter to achieve TikTok fame. The plan was simple. One of them would dress up in a bedsheet and the others would film him haunting their backyard. To add a modern twist, they claimed the ghost could communicate with them by manipulating their Wi-Fi signal. Their spooky, low-budget videos went unexpectedly viral, attracting the attention of a real team of local paranormal investigators. The teens were forced to watch in horror as these serious, middle-aged ghost hunters showed up at their house with sophisticated equipment, ready to conduct a full-scale investigation of their friend, Kevin, hiding under a sheet in the garden shed. So that was our tour through 49 of humanity's most desperate pleas for attention. But I refuse to believe this list is complete. The world is just too wonderfully weird for that. So now it's your turn to write our 50th entry. Get down in the comments and tell us the single most ridiculous, shameless, or secretly brilliant thing you've ever seen someone do just to get famous. If this madness was entertaining, a like is the best way to show it. And subscribe, because the supply of human absurdity is, thankfully, endless.